Okay.
Okay,
Ready?
so I can
Three.
go anywhere I want to?
Yep.
Okay. The table got low. There you go. There we go, okay. So my name is Helga Skinner. I can tell you a lot about Luna Moth, all the moths, and the monarch butterfly, but I can't do a thing with the computer. So if anything happens, you have to give me a couple minutes for them to fix it. That's just so you know. All right, does anybody know what a Luna Moth looks like? All the kids? Have you ever seen one?
Yeah.
Yeah? Do you like it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Really pretty.
Yeah, they are,
I
aren't
think
they?
I've actually drew one before.
Mm-hmm. They were for jewelry. Have you seen them before in real? Well, they're so beautiful that they're the only moth that was ever put on a postage stamp. So I made you a copy of the postage stamp so that you have something to remember by, okay? So we're gonna talk about pollinating today, and I'm gonna start with the monarch and the milkweed for just a moment, because the monarch is the cousin to, the monarch is the cousin to the moth Luna. So therefore I'm incorporating like their family. You don't get one in the bag.
They're all one family there, these girls.
Okay, well, I'm fine. Everybody has one? Yes, okay. That's just so that you can remember one fact about it, because when we're done, I have a little test to pass out. And then we'll ask you questions about the Luna Moth, and it has answers on it, so that if you didn't know the answer when you read it, you can go home and you can still study it, and it tells you what the answer is. So I'll work that question out with you at the end and see who remembers what. So the moth is not a good pollinator, but the butterflies are. So the Luna, I'm doing Luna Moth, the monarch has a plant called the milkweed plant, and that milkweed plant has so much sap and so much nectar that it feeds all the insects, 450 some of them every season, all the way through November. So when everybody's trying to help pollinating, they need to put milkweed in their pollinating garden, because the butterfly lays the eggs on that plant too. So they keep coming back to keep it growing, okay? Now the moth, they fly at night and day, some fly just at night. And the Luna Moth and all the Saturnite laws, those are those real big moths. They're like 4 inches and 5 inches wings. You very seldom see those because they fly at night. But they don't have a mouth, and they don't have a proboscis because they don't eat. They live off of what the caterpillar got. So that's why you want the caterpillar to be real healthy and really fat, so that the moth will be healthy. So, but what they do is they feed the bats. So they're part of a food chain. And the bats are going down in population because they're not getting as many Luna moths or moths. So, and the Luna Moth, it evades being caught by a bat because it has echo waves it sends to find out where the moths are. And then those waves come back and tell the bat where to go. And with the Luna Moth, they have that long, long tail, and it makes the tail flip around when it flies, and it breaks up that wave so the bats don't get the answer, and they think, oh, it's over here, and so they get the tail instead, and that saves the Luna Moth, right? Then it didn't eat the body. And the Luna Moth can go ahead and it can fly without the tails. It doesn't need the tails, and it can even have less one wing. The other thing are the Saturnine moths have those big eyes, and those big eyes scare things, and the insects think that's where to go to get the enemy or to get the food, and so they hit the eyes. Well, that means that the moth will lose a wing, but they can still fly. So the moth is also where he flies with both wings. So he has two wings on one side, 2 wings on the other, and they're stuck together with like Velcro. It's called the frenulum, and it holds those wings together. So when he flies, he's flying with 2 wings. butterflies can't do that. They fly with the forewings. So there's all kinds of little differences with the moth and with the butterfly because of when and where they fly. So the butterfly, I have all those things up there that you can look at. The butterfly, the moth, when it lays eggs, the little eggs come out. Those little eggs have to do so much work to become a moth. And no one talks about the caterpillar. Very few people talk about the caterpillar. They just say how beautiful the moth is. So I'm gonna go through my slideshow and show you some of the things that the caterpillar does to even become a moth, okay? Any questions so far? No? Okay. So when you get bored, let me know, because I don't want anybody bored. Okay, so this was my first moth, and it landed on my deck, and you can see above it, you can see right above it, or we did see above it, let's go this far. So I found more eggs on my deck, and it was on a piece of paper. Trying to turn the sound off.
Oh, I can do that real quick.
Can you-
I'll just do it.
Oh, there we go, okay. So the little caterpillar, when it comes out, it eats its skin, and then it goes and starts looking for food to eat. And they live off of a sweet gum tree. And the sweet gum tree has a wood on it, the bark on it, that looks like an alligator back, so they call it alligator wood. So this little guy's trying to find a real good place to start, and they always start at the patchouli where the stem connects to the leaf. It'll go underneath that area because it's kind of curved like the stem and no one can see it. So the things that protect the little moth from being caught are his color and where he stays to eat. At the same time, I'll get used to this in a minute. So what I do, alright, so I get it caught up here. So there's the wood, and you can see that on the sweet gum, all the little protrusions that come out from the wood, and it looks like it's an alligator skin. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this mouse. Alright, I'll solve it. Sorry.
No, you're good.
So this is a little baby Luna, and he's eating the first molt. He already molted one time. The little caterpillars, when they come out, they eat, and they get really fat. And they get fat that the skin doesn't fit them anymore. So just like you with clothes, they don't fit you when you get 2 years older. So then they have to go out of their skin. And they'll do that with something called molting fluid. So with the molting fluid, it's a fluid that comes between the old skin and on his skin, right between it, so they can slide out of his clothes, right, the jacket, everything. So when he comes all out of it, then he turns around and eats the skin that he's left, because that's protein, and he needs to have protein to go on to make himself a bigger caterpillar. Then, after he's all done with that, then he rubs his face on the either the bark or the veins on a leaf to knock off that plate, which is his face plate, because that has to go too. So you'll see that here too. Alright, so then here you can see him crawling out of his skin. Can you see that? So he's halfway out, and he's got his legs all bunched up because he's pulling his butt out of it. Then when they get done with that, that's when they turn around and they clean up everything that they left behind except their little face. And then this is his face plates. These things, I only saw one. You know, you see one at a time and they're on a leaf and you think, oh God, I got one. So this time, all these little Luna Moth caterpillars, they molted at the same time. So all those little things were at the bottom of the cage. All I could think of was, I've gotta take the picture of that. I have to have that. So those are all
those
those
are
little-
all their heads.
Huh?
Those are all their heads.
Yeah, it's not the whole head, it's just the cap of the face. So they call it a face plate for that reason.
Kinda like an astronaut helmet.
Yeah, it does. But, and they change, every time they molt, they come out a different color, they've got something that's changed because they're getting older. And the molting is done by a hormone called molting fluid. And so he has molting fluid that comes in between to help him get out of his skin. He also has a juvenile hormone. So caterpillars have hormones and steroids, just like we do. So that juvenile hormone controls how much juvenile hormone he gets, and so he knows to keep molting. At the very end, when it's time to go into a cocoon, juvenile hormone cuts off. And so then he knows, uh-oh, I better cocoon up because it's time for the metamorphosis. So the whole system is regulated by this juvenile hormone. So you can look at it really well before it changes. Okay. So here's another one at a stage where the molt is right behind him, so he just crawls out, and then they look wet. They're all wet. They still have their little fuzzy, frizzy heads and their bodies, but they're a little bit more fuzzy, and the spots that have color are a little darker. So when I get done with this, I'm gonna turn it on to where it'll just go like a slideshow and I don't stop talking, I don't talk. Okay, this one here, this is the way they curve underneath their leaf. And when you walk by and you see that, you don't see him because he fits so well to the color, you just walk right by. And I have a plant here and it has 3 babies on it. And I left the plant out of the cage so that you can try to see if you can find it. Just because that's their camouflage and it protects them. So I'm fascinated by their feet. I love the caterpillar feet, all the little hairs that come out, the little suction cups, and how they go one at a time, 2 at a time, to get from one part of the leaf to the other. So I have to do a little bit of my own painting with my camera to keep it entertaining, otherwise it gets boring, right? They don't grow right away. So this one now is on his 3rd molt. He's looking different again when he comes out. And then they become eating machines. All they do is eat. Just eat to get as fat as they possibly can. And then they sleep. And when they sleep, they let go. The only thing that's holding on to the tree are these feet. They're right here. Right in there. Those hang on and this top lets go. So now he's gonna try to make a cocoon and he's looking for a spot. So you can already tell they'll travel around and look for a place to go so that they can find a way to fold a leaf and a stem to anchor themselves. And this one's got the first leaf folded. And now I've got someone among us. You wanna show them how it goes? No?
She told you, so you could stand up.
So you can show them how they reach out with the, so the sling is gonna be the top of the head of the caterpillar, and the body's gonna be in his hand. And it stretches all the way out. So it stretches all the way out to the end of the leaf, snaps that leaf and pulls it back, and then he puts silk on it and glues it down. And he just does it like a taco. He folds himself up into a taco shell. And then when he gets it all folded up, then he fills in all the corners so that there are no openings. Once all the corners are filled up, he's getting closer here. Once all the corners are filled up, then he, like this one, then he does his whole, he wraps himself up, and he's wrapping himself up in silk. So that makes a nice little blanket. I have a cocoon out here that's open and you can feel it and see the silk on the inside, so that you can look at that. And there he is, he's got himself completely with, and he keeps on doing that till it's nice and thick. And then once he's done that, then you can't find him anymore. So that's a cocoon. That's the cocoon in the spring. It's done in the tree, it's on leaves, and they're green. So that when you see old cocoons that went through the winter, those are the ones that are all brown because leaves got brown. There, you see another bump for the cocoon. There's another cocoon. And then that one too.
They're really well camouflaged.
Pardon me?
They're really well camouflaged.
Yeah, they are. The only time, I almost threw one away. You can tell when you cut the branch or when you're around it and there's anything, it's heavy. So that gives it away. So now I know, it's one or it started. Okay, this is the way it looks on the inside, and I have a cocoon here too that will show you that. So once he's all in there, then when he's ready to go, he's gotta pop out of that pupa, and then he has to cut his way. Because the Saturnine moths never have an escape hatch, they have to cut that way. And you can hear it because it goes and then it stops. And he's got two little horns, they're right here at the base of his wings, right by his head. And he'll go like this to cut that opening, and then he'll stop. And then he'll do that again, and he'll do that almost for a whole day. Oh, that's the cocoon too. That one?
Yeah.
That's the end of the cocoon. When he comes out, he actually leaves the whole pupa behind. This one, when he came out, he took the front part with him.
Okay.
Okay, but he hooks himself to the end. Where I took this picture is he hooks himself to the end of the cocoon inside, so that he has that traction when he pulls out. Right? Otherwise, his butt would follow him. So that's why I opened that one up, so I could show you that he's glued just like a butterfly does with a chrysalis on a leaf. Right? They have that little button and the cremaster. So here's one. This little guy came out too late, and no matter what happens to them, they're so programmed that their job is to come out, mate, and then have eggs and go lay them for food. They're gonna feed all the birds all the way around because they're flying around to put their eggs down. And this one couldn't fly, but he still mated and he still laid eggs. So no matter what, they're so programmed, they're not thinking about, this is bad, I'm not this way, they just do it. So this one made it out, he's finding a place, he's crawling as fast as he can to get up somewhere where he can hang. And then their body's all stretched out because it comes through that little hole. So the whole body, once it's out, if the whole body is floppy, he's dragging himself because he can't pick anything up, it's so wet. And the belly is so skinny to get through the hole. And once he hangs up there for a while, then as he hangs, everything draws up and the wings get long. So this is another one where he's partway there. So you can see it more and more. When they come out of the cocoon, you can tell whether it's a male or female, because the male has big, thick antenna, just really bushy antenna. And that's to smell the perfume or pheromone from the female. And then she comes out with a real skinny little antenna, and all she does is she hangs. So the little female that I have in the cage won't go anywhere. I can open the cage, I can walk by, it's not gonna move until they mate, because then he spends all the energy to go fly to all those trees and lay the eggs, right? They're only living off energy from the caterpillar. And the male, he finds the female by smelling her, and sometimes he has to fly 3 miles or more. So he spends his energy flying to find her. So they're at the very end there. Now, when her wings are out like that, that's a he. Then that means they're ready. They're dry and they're ready. They're already flapping around and crawling around and getting ready to go.
How long do they live?
They live 7 to 10 days. All that work for 7 to 10 days, right?
Single week.
Yeah, they live a week.
Well, there's also their caterpillar phase of life. There's also the life cycle of caterpillar to
Yeah, but we're talking about once
Yeah, yeah.
they switch, right? When they make the switch, they're limited to a week, roughly a week, to do the functioning of mating and laying eggs. And the whole reason they go through the metamorphosis is because they need the wings to spread the eggs, right? So this one's ready, and then I just take pictures because you're beautiful. Now this one here, the bats, this is where I told you already about the bats, that they can't find the moth because of the way the wings go. And that's actually being studied right now for military purposes. They're trying to figure out how the moth does that with their tail, where they interfere with those waves and they're hidden basically. So that's a research that's going on as we speak. So there you see the male, and this big heavy antenna. See how thick it is compared to the female? Hers was real skinny. So they all come out with different colors. They have sometimes real dark edges, or this little line that's right across the wing right here, that's a lot darker. So it's very interesting. This one's a male, of course you can see his antenna and how puffy they are. And then this is my main male. He was beautiful, so he let me photograph them all different which ways. And then I do my own abstract little stuff. I love the reflection. This is a male, and I wanted to capture that antenna. This is the male, and you can see the male's feathers and how the antenna and how bushy, and then below is the female and how skinny that is. And this one is just elegant. It's just beautiful, color-wise. It's soothing. Okay, now I got a picture. Now this is difficult to get without movement. So intentional camera movement, but at the same time, that moth is just flapping his wings the whole time to hold that position so he could lay that egg. So that's what she's doing. She's laying eggs.
Kinda like hummingbirds do. Kinda like hummingbirds, where they flap their wings to hover in place.
Yeah, but her whole body's vibrating in different ways. It's really not the same because she's struggling just to stick that up there all the time, right? And there's another one like that. And at this point, the mother that landed on my picture, this is 2 generations later, and they got me 158 eggs. And when they all hatched at once, I thought, oh, they're so cute, but they're small, I can take care of them. And then they became bigger and bigger and bigger. So I ended up having 17 cages, and this was 1 day's worth of sweet gum. And I'd go to my neighbors and ask them if I could cut some leaves, and they didn't know it was gonna take half their tree. Okay, so do you have any questions about it? No? Okay, so if you want to take a break and walk around, have you gone and looked at any of this yet? And I'll talk while you're doing that.
What time in the spring do they kind of do the caterpillars hatch?
Pardon me?
What time of year do that caterpillars hatch?
That they, this one here came out 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, so they already start like in June.